you just mentioned, having grown up in the hood, and what got you out was education. You've always been a big proponent of education. And I'm curious to get your take, because you led SHIP, you were working with young minds, you were working with the pipeline, the next generation, for 4 years now, you mentioned. So what do you think about, this is something we talk about often on our end, the pandemic's effects and the impact that it's going to have on so many young people, particularly students, particularly those in underrepresented communities, which we know were and still are, being disproportionately affected, that digital divide, if you will. So something we are very passionate about, really exploring and diving into, learning more from thought leaders like yourself. So what are, kind of from your point of view, what are those challenges that our Latinx and Black communities are facing as a result?
Yeah, it's a really complicated and complex set of circumstances, right? Mm-hmm. And the digital divide has always been worrisome to me. And it is something that I lose sleep over. And certainly when I was the CEO of SHIP. And it couldn't have become more, it became very evident. We had to we were forced to face the digital divide because of the pandemic. And at a minimum for most folks, we became aware, if we weren't already aware, but became a glaring problem. And I'd like to think in many instances, people stepped up, and you saw these interesting private and public collaborations. And people started talking about the need for the legislation and investment in emerging technologies. And people, I think, started to have a greater sense of urgency. But you still have the children and young people who were adversely to be affected by that digital divide. And there are some who are falling through the cracks, despite what their parents may be trying to do to support them. It's not an easy answer. And as a society and as a collective, we have to do better. Yeah. But the silver lining, and I think there is a silver lining, is that it also, the pandemic and the impact of the pandemic really opened things up in a lot of ways, right? It really opened up the aperture for many folks with respect to different types of opportunities and possibilities. And I think as a people, we learned to adapt, and we adapted, we adjusted, right? And we had to recalibrate. And some of us did that better than others. And, the ones who don't have access to hardware and software and internet and all of that, I think there have been many efforts to try and close that gap. We need to do better, like I said. And so I think it's a mixed bag, right? And it's complex and it's complicated. And I certainly don't have the answer. I continue to look for solutions and advocate for those solutions, but we need more, and we need more of us to really continue the conversation, and to look for more readily available solutions for Blacks and Latinx.